like putting some tape, kind of how we did.
Elizabeth Kari is turning stories of hate into art.
I want to dedicate and honor my mom and everything she went through, but also to kind of honor everybody who's been a victim and survivor, most importantly, of these types of attacks.
These words have kept her up at night.
F you, Asian, you don't belong here, was the gist of what he had said before the attack.
Racist slurs hurled at her mom as she was beaten in front of a New York City high-rise. You Don't Belong Here turned into an art exhibit about why Asian Americans very much belong here. AAP I Belong, a collection of stories designed to flip victimhood into empowerment.
In 50 years, when I look back on my life, well, I've said that I did everything I possibly could, and I feel like in this moment, I have.
Elizabeth's moment emerged from horror, captured on surveillance video in March.
She was kicked numerous times. She was assaulted pretty bad.
The brutal attack enraging the nation, coming to symbolize anti-Asian hate, and the callous disregard of the bystanders, seemingly emblematic of America's silence.
Damn it, I am so sick of standing here demanding something to be done for my people!
This vicious assault, just one in an alarming spike in crimes against Asian Americans nationwide.
The crime was caught on camera, shows a man attacking the victims with a cinder block.
2 elderly Asian women were stabbed at the bus stop near 4th and Market Street.
Brutal attack on an Asian American woman in New York City.
In 16 major cities, anti-Asian hate reports to police rose more than 160% compared to the same time last year. Now, the survivor at the center of it all, Filipina-American Vilma Kari, speaking out on camera for the first time, determined to use her voice to fight hate.
There are so many victims that have not been heard.
It's Monday of Easter week. Vilma, a devout Catholic, is headed to Mass when the unthinkable happens.
I saw a text from my mom that said, "Call me, I've been attacked." And I was like, what? And she had told me, "I'm in a police car. I'm asking them to take me to the hospital. I hit my head. I don't know exactly what happened."
What was your reaction when you first laid eyes on her?
It was hard. I had never seen my mom in a hospital bed. She said, "I don't know, I remember getting hit, but honestly, I don't remember feeling the force of it."
At the hospital, the 32-year-old fashion executive learned her mom had a fractured pelvis and was suffering from head wounds.
How did she look to you?
There were visible injuries, and a lot of my time at the hospital was holding an ice pack on her head for hours.
But almost immediately, Elizabeth felt something was off.
I had thought that somebody tried to steal her purse. In all honesty, I thought that's what had happened.
You didn't think anti-Asian attack?
Never. I would have never thought that at all.
It wasn't until a friend sent her the video spreading on social media that she put 2 and 2 together.
First, I watched the video and I saw how brutal it was. And then I think I watched it 2 or 3 times after in tears and started sobbing and shaking and coming to this realization. I remember just screaming, "But that's my mom, but that's my mom." And just to watch the force of what had happened to her, I really think that someone was watching out for her from above.
So many people, when things happen in their lives, ask the question, why me?
Yes, and I've been asking some friends, why me? Did I do something wrong? What did I do to provoke that? And all they could say to me is, maybe there's a plan for you because you were spared and you're a strong woman, and maybe God is telling you, do something.
40 years ago, Vilma came to the U.S. like so many immigrants, drawn by the promise of prosperity.
I worked as a trade analyst at the Philippine Trade Office, Philippine Consulate in Chicago.
And I understand that not that long after you fell in love.
Yes. My husband was interested in Philippine furniture, so he called up my office, and I told him to come down, and he saw me. The rest is history.
Vilma stepped away from her career to raise Elizabeth. In 2012, her husband passed away, and during the pandemic, Vilma came to New York to visit her only child.
I felt so alone. I figured, let me stay with my daughter.
She knew her way around New York and felt safe up until the moment she was attacked. Vilma says one good Samaritan made all the difference.
My mom had said there was one person said, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing over there? And I'm so thankful for that because, you know, who knows where the story would have gone otherwise.
But the seeming failure to immediately respond by many of the bystanders, particularly these doormen, sparked outrage. They were eventually fired. Their union saying the workers did assist the victim and flagged down police, as was shown in a longer version of the building's camera footage.
I had never feared for myself prior to my mom's attack. Now that this has happened to her, I feel it in a different way when I walk down the street.
Throughout Vilma's recovery, thousands wrote words of encouragement and prayers. The family's GoFundMe page raising nearly $300,000.
Having that kind of sympathy towards me just melted my heart.
Within days, the police arrest a 38-year-old homeless man out on parole for stabbing his mother to death 18 years ago. He reportedly has a history of mental illness.
I can only think about the mental health system. It seems like there are some people that need help in this country, and I don't know if they're able to find the resources, and I think that's definitely a big factor of what's happening right now.
It's extremely hard to prove these cases. You have to know what the perpetrator said before or after the attack.
NYPD Inspector Tommy Ng is in charge of the recently formed Asian Hate Crimes Task Force and helped investigate the attack against Vilma.
We sent a Filipino detective to her house. That the first dialogue was talking in her native language, and immediately she opens up.
She and her daughter both said that the attacker said to her, you Asian, you don't belong here. Is that enough to constitute a hate crime charge?
That's absolutely enough.
Why?
Absolutely. Just because the attack was clearly motivated by her race as an Asian American.
In fact, Vilma's alleged attacker now faces 3 hate crime charges. He pled not guilty.
What do you think triggered the spike in anti-Asian hate during the pandemic?
I think that certain politicians or elected officials might have said something.
The China flu, Kung flu, the plague from China, we have to be accurate.
That is driving this movement or momentum.
Give me a sense of how racism and mental instability or mental health crises overlap.
When someone says something about, who to blame about the pandemic or the virus, that it's embedded in their head that when they have these mental breakdown for some of these people, that they tend to target Asian Americans.
What makes some in the Asian community shy about reporting to police?
The lack of understanding, the lack of trust, the fear of the police that, getting deportations outside of the country.
All right. Hello, sir. Okay.
All right.
It's my first rally.
Elizabeth is trying to bridge that trust gap.
Our generation of our elderly parents are obviously being targeted, and they are not the most open and willing to reach out.
She's convincing her mom and others in the AAPI community that their voices matter, that they don't need to be invisible.
I think my generation should listen to the new generation.
As they both continue to heal, their mother-daughter bond is giving them strength.
I wonder if you think that fear creeps into your heart in a different way now?
There is fear, but if we let fear overcome all these things, then nothing will happen. We have to rise above fear, be stronger than fear, be courageous.
Go!
When we come back, how the AAPI community is fighting back, and what Vilma has to say about her assailant.
Why pray for your attacker?
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.